What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. Thanks for listening. Start this podcast. If you're listening on any audio platform like iTunes or Spotify or Omni Studio, and leave a review. And if you're listening or watching on YouTube, comment, like, and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. And it's the end of the season. We know who won. We know who didn't won. Who is going to qualify for Champions League and who is no longer with us. And we will get into all of that. And we also, what we want to do? I got some shows coming up, so check out my Instagram at Ian Edwards Comic. You see the dates there. And we got Neil back from, Neil Chakravarty stand-up comic by way of India. And speaking of India, he just got back from India.
It's actually by way of India now.
Yeah, definitely back from by way of India now. And Chelsea fan. And yo, man, the pictures of just India period, the different neighborhoods of it that you live in or went to visit, the wedding, but the food was bananas. I didn't recognize any of that food. It looked mad delicious. And I was like, where can we get that here? Like, what's up?
Oh, this is good, man. It's good to be back. Mm-hmm. Good to be back at a normal time zone with you guys.
Hey, you're a Chelsea fan, so you went away at the right time.
Yeah. I went away. Perfect. In fact, when it was getting really bad, I didn't even have cable access, like that leg of the trip. So I was so happy.
Damn. It's almost as if you knew. When did you plan this trip?
I planned it. Well, actually, I was supposed to be gone in February, and then then the wedding got scheduled in May. So then we had to kind of move it out. So.
Right. So it's almost as if all the forces, including the wedding couple, kind of was like, this is going to be a bad season for Chelsea. Let's move this wedding.
If you're asking me,
have to witness it.
If you're asking me if I started hating Chelsea that much that I actually predetermined a trip to India in the summer, no, you're wrong. That's still not a good enough reason to be in India in the summer, but
So it was summertime there?
It was summer. It was summer is really bad. It's every day is hotter than the hottest day you can think of here.
Oh yeah. So isn't summer? So it's not summer all the time there. What's the summer months in India?
I think the peak summer is April to June, and then the monsoons kind of begin. Mm-hmm. But it's still hot. You'll have even October, November months, which are days which are hotter than the days here. So,
all right, yeah, and people whining about the weather. That means I can't whine about the weather in Bakersfield this weekend because I went to that
definitely
music festival.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So you mean if we take you or some Indian people to Death Valley in California, you'll just laugh at the temperature and be like, why do they call this Death Valley?
Well,
is it sweater weather in India?
No. I think the difference in North American sun is that because of the lack of pollution, the rays hit you harder. So you can actually live life in India without sunscreen and be all right, not get sunburned. But something about the North American sun where you get sunburned real quick.
And why is that again, you said?
I've read some theories about where it's got to do with the air quality, the lack of pollution here, right? It pierces through, it gets through more unfiltered, yeah.
Oh, I see. All right.
Yeah, the air quality in South Asia is so bad that even the sun can't get through. So you feel hot, but you don't the rays aren't as fierce.
Right. All right. So I guess each one has its positives and negatives.
Yeah.
And
But it was a great trip, though. It was a great trip. Yeah, I know you saw the pictures, the food and stuff, and that was mostly it was just friends, family, and food.
yeah, man, and it was good to see you like with your family
Yeah.
because like because you live in America now, right? Like you never really we've never really talked about your family.
Right.
But then but when you see the photos, you could see the love, you could see that. I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, he missed them. He hasn't seen his dad in a minute. They used to hang and they buddies and shit. How do they go that long? And it's like they're really chilling. They're going out to eat. So that shit was like really good to see, to be honest. So
I mean, I think this is the first time in almost 15 years that I actually spent an extended period of time with family. I haven't met them in 4 years, but even before that, whenever we used to meet, it used to be like really quick vacations, right? But this was like a month, well, actually more than 5 weeks, and I was there with them almost all the time. So it kind of felt like, back in the day, we're growing up, and dad just come home from work and you're around and you get to speak about your day, and you're not just moving from thing to thing to thing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that was all good to see your moms and cooking, or you trying to cook, or whatever you thought you was trying to do in the kitchen.
Yeah. I was trying to help out, but it's just she has her own rhythm about things, and sometimes I can do more harm than good.
Yeah, I get that. Like sometimes I'll have a friend over and I'm gonna cook, and they want to sit and watch me do it. Now sit in the living room. I don't need you near me. It makes me nervous. I'm more confident where you're not in the kitchen. Like just chill. Just
exactly.
Go back. That's why I turn the TV on, and that's why the couch is in the living room. Just stay away.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How are things here? You were up and about, right? You were in a bunch of different places.
Yeah, man. I was doing shows pretty much everywhere. I was in Austin. I went to Costa Rica. I went to Coachella.
You're here.
I was all over. I went to LIB. I went to
North
Carolina. I went to San Diego to do La Jolla Comedy Store. Like I think I did all my gigs, and I got a few more coming up, but I did a lot of them in the last 2 months, plus some like obligations like the wedding and Coachella and LIB. So I think my summer's over. I did it. There's no reason to do anything else. It's just chill.
Southern California hasn't really had much of a summer, it looks like, right? It's just
it didn't even start yet.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think we get summer like 2 hours a day.
Yeah, it was like raining when I left, and I took taking the Uber from LAX to come down here, and it started raining again. I'm like, all right, so nothing has changed.
No. How much is an Uber from LAX to there?
About $190. Yeah.
Damn, Uber. Shit. Check it. All right. Well, I guess now that we've done caught up a little bit, let's get into it. You came back on time. The season is over. You don't have to see Chelsea lose anymore or see them dogged or talked about. I was going to use my computer to look up the league, but I'll do it on my phone. So I'm going to be looking to the side over here. Let me bring up the Premier League and Premier League standings. And man, here we go. Bam. Let me go back to standings. It went back to matches. Disobeyed me again. Come on, standings. Here we go. So Man City barely wins the league. They get 89 points. They beat Arsenal by 5 points, 94 goals for 33 assists, 33 against, Jesus. And what you think of them champs?
I mean, they're just a machine, And I mean, there were times during the season where it seemed like they're not playing to their optimal level. but they got a little bit of an opening with Arsenal, and they were just relentless. In fact, the only time they actually took their foot off the pedal was after they had secured the title. So till that time, they just kept going bam, 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 bam. And I don't blame Arsenal. I know it's been talked about that kind of like bottled the league. And I think statistically, yes, if you do want to have a bottled quotient, they are statistically, the biggest bottle job that this league has seen. But I don't really blame them. I think this has still been a successful season for Arsenal. And it's really, really tough to beat the City team and keep up with their... I mean, you only play them twice a season, so you should be able to take care of the rest of the teams. But it's still like that mental pressure, that table pressure that you have with Man City, churning out W's after W's and like getting goals every game. It's really tough mentally as a team, as an outfit, to live with that. And Arsenal's a pretty young team. They don't have that level of pedigree and experience. So yeah, basically Manchester City did what everybody expected them to do at the beginning of the season. And Arsenal did better than what people expected them to do. So yeah, I think both clubs should be, once they have a little bit of perspective, they should be happy with the way the season went.
I think they are, but how they acted, Arsenal, on their way to coming second when they were top of the league, made fans from other teams hate them. And then now that they came second, which was probably where they're going to come anyway. Yeah. Especially, this is where Arsenal fucked up. And it wasn't where they fucked up. It's where Man City fucked up. And it's where the Premier League fucked up. When the Premier League put those charges on Man City. If you go back from that day, that speech that Pep made, and that us against the world speech, that's when Man City picked up in form and became unbeatable. And I don't think they've dropped many points since then, and unless you want to count the last game of the season, the last 2 games of the season, after it was all in the bag. But Pep was looking for something, and he's like, listen, if they take away points or take away this league, they're going to take it away anyway. So let me use this as motivation to motivate my players to play better than Arsenal is playing. And that's when I think things got turned around, and Man City didn't lose anything after that. So thank you, league, for, motivating Pep to motivate his players to make Arsenal look like they bottled it, because there's nothing Arsenal could do once Pep found this thing to like get his players playing the way that they can play. So congrats, Man City, you won, and hopefully Man United could pull off a miracle of their own. But we'll get to that coming up. And second is Arsenal. We've been talking about them. They got 84 points, 88 goals for, 43 against. They came second. No one expected them to be second. And I knew they'd be in the top 4. I didn't expect them to be second, because I from last year, like if you look at my predictions, my prediction was Man City second, Liverpool first, Arsenal definitely in the top 4. United was not going to be in it because Spurs were strong and they had Conte. But then it didn't work out the way I thought it would, but in a good way for United. But Arsenal, yeah, man, well done. But they need more depth. Now they've got more experience. They learned about what it takes. And, we'll see if they improve next season. It's going to be harder because there's going to be teams that are strengthened around them. So it's not going to be an easy league to win. Like I'm worried about Chelsea. I don't know, but here's some facts. The last time Chelsea finished 10th, they won the league the next year. And every time they have a bad season, like, but they have good players. If they get the right coach, which, you know, Pochettino is a decent coach, I think Chelsea's going to be dangerous. So I'm worried about Chelsea, period. But because I think they have a bunch of good young players. It's a really young squad. But we'll see. We'll see. But that's Arsenal. I don't know if you have anything to say about Arsenal.
I will say this though. I know, like, even you mentioned the fact that the Arsenal fans got too cocky and they kind of set the stage for people to, come back at them in case they didn't manage to it. But I feel that's kind of inevitable, right? Like any of our clubs, like if our team's got a lead and it's a young team and it's not expected.
Not you.
Yeah, not me. Definitely not me. But
you downplay Chelsea all the time. They're in the Champions League final. No, I don't think we can win. They won it. I don't think we could win it. But you won it. I don't think we could win it, man.
yeah, but I'm talking from a broader perspective. Like most fans, I think in that scenario will get a little cocky, and with good reason. That team played really good football for 2/3 of a season, right? And I mean, even if it was unwarranted, I feel that's what sport is all about. You need to have, like, we're not watching the stocks of Facebook or Google go up and down. You need to get a little cranky. You need to get a little emotional. You need to get a little loony in the head, right? That's why, sports is the biggest recession-proof industry ever. Like, people are, no matter what the situation is, people are still going to be crazy about it.
You can. You're right. You can. But if you get caught slipping, they're gonna let you know.
You gotta get the back. Yeah, that's fair enough too. Yeah. The other side is fair enough too.
Because, listen, man, even with a few games left before Man City caught them, I was like, and I wasn't the only one. Man City's a bunch of machines. You cannot trust them. They will hunt you down. They have the history of hunting you down. And it's like, if you're an Arsenal fan, you get excited. But I would have been uncomfortable the entire way. I'd have been too uncomfortable the entire way.
Did you see, like, there's this one fan on AFTV, he printed a T-shirt on Christmas with the league standings. like the standings picture you have on a link you have. He printed a white T-shirt with just the league standings. So
it's one of those Christmas gifts you can only wear back then. At Christmas then, because you can't wear that shit now. Also, like Joel from 5 at 5 was carrying around a Premier League trophy with him and threatening to everybody on the show that he's going to pull it out when they win, and then he's going to auction it off. So there were like a lot of craziness. Like Leicester fans, I don't know every Leicester fan, but I don't know if any one of them was like this leading up to.
Oh, they were not even sure till halftime of that game where they actually won it. Like the Spurs and Chelsea game. They weren't even sure of winning the title at halftime. Like it took them that extra 45 minutes to be sure. So I get it, but I also get the fact that fans got a fan. They got to do it.
They got a fan. Yeah, and I know they were excited and they were in a position they didn't expect to be. But man, you cannot ignore Man City plus Haaland equals.
I mean, we keep talking about Man City being a machine. That's just a way of saying that they're a really good football team in previous years. Well, this year they actually added an actual machine. The machine, the prototype machine only arrived this season, and that guy's crazy. I don't even know. And I said this before during the season. I don't even know why Premier League talk needs to happen. Why we need to have this podcast? Because I have a feeling we're just gonna have, until that guy is there, every conversation is gonna be redundant.
Right. And then Jack Grealish really came on to the point where Foden couldn't even get on the pitch. Yeah. And there's just so many things. The only disturbance I had was Cancelo going to, going to Bayern, and that's about it. But everything else like kicked into gear, and he had.
And that turned out to be a little bit of a masterstroke too, because Pep kind of changed the way he plays by having. He's essentially playing with 4 center backs, but he's using the wider center backs like Ake and John Stones as inverted fullbacks, and they were like drifting into midfield a lot, which I remember in the earlier part of their careers. This used to be said a lot about both Nathan Ake and John Stones, that they can.
I used to say it about Stones, that he should be
ball
the
playing
CDM.
Yeah. And I remember that Ake actually played that. I think he was on loan. He played that somewhere when he was still with us. So yeah, he did something, that Cancelo thing, even though Cancelo is, he was on top of his game just a few months ago. But I think from an overall team's perspective, whatever changes he made with that, it kind of helped City.
Right. I mean, Pep being Pep. And we talked about Arsenal. Let's talk about Man U. We're third. We got 75 points. I'm glad we didn't end up with, we were in the 60s the last few years, maybe 50 like last year, last season. We got 88 goals. No, that's my bad. That's Arsenal. I wish we had 58 goals and 43 goals against. Our goal difference ain't that great. But we have 23 wins, 6 draws, 9 losses. Feels like we had more than 9 losses. That's pretty good, And United, like I'm really proud of the team after the year that they had last year, and a lot of players show that they can play and that they have thicker skin than originally thought. When they have like a good coach, they haven't completely like evolved into the system, but you could see it. So then, to some of the players who we still have doubts about or who did improve, like I can't wait to see how much better they get next year once they like have a chance to step back. And like for me, like this is how my brain works. I'm in something and I'm doing it, and whether I'm doing it good or not, or it's a little confusing and I can't figure it out at the time, once there's a break from it, like it will just come to me, some of the things that I could do better, or the understanding of that thing will come to me. And I was like, oh, I could do that. This is what they wanted me to do. So all those things that I didn't fully realize, while you're away from it, you realize it. It's like when you're writing and you have writer's block and you get up to go to the bathroom or take a shower, the answer to your writer's block will come to you in the shower, or washing your car, or just doing something that has nothing to do with that thing. And so I'm hoping that for like Sancho to like figure out and be a better player. And I also want to use like how Pep is with his players that take a long time to adjust, how patient he is. As like Pep seems like a very pushy guy, but he has a lot of patience. But I also see that Ten Hag has a lot of patience too, because he never shits on Maguire. He's always defending him to his detriment, because you're like, Ten Hag, you're defending a guy and we rate you as a good coach, but you're saying complete opposite thing of what we see. So, but that's actually a lot of strength from a coach, and I see the value of that. Like what you get no value in saving yourself and saying what you really think about Harry Maguire. There is no value, even though saying the positive things you say about Harry Maguire, got people looking at you like sideways, going, "Say what?" So, it's still better overall to like in public say the positive things you do say about Harry Maguire, and hopefully Sancho will improve, and Anthony will learn to go to the right. Garnacho is going to only get better. Amad Diallo is going to come back. He did great at Sunderland. And we have Pellistri. I don't know if he's going to go out on loan, but when Pellistri gets on the field, he's dying to show that he belongs there. And just that attitude alone is super positive. So we're going to be overcrowded on the wings. We need a forward. maybe Marshall, will you sell him, or maybe we'll keep him and he'll be healthy next year. We don't know, and then we have to figure out maybe 2 more midfield players, and we don't have a lot of money to spend right now, and the club sale is just in turmoil right now. Hopefully, we'll be able to sell the team to the right person before the transfer window opens, so that we could just jump into action, and that there's not a big transition of employees who are involved in like trades and stuff like that. And or I hope we don't get like, you know, at PSG, like the guys that run PSG cater more to the players to the detriment of the coaches that they hire. So we're going to be dealing with the same type of Qatarians, that I hope that they're not like the Qatarians in PSG or France, who love being around the players, so then they support the players and fire the coaches, because and give
they
the
love
players
the
more
glamour element of being
the glamour element, as opposed to like, no, man, you got to be disciplined. I can't give you your sister's birthday month off, Neymar. you have to play. You have to go to work. So I'm hoping that we don't. Whoever we get, like, has to like believe that they will win if they listen to Ten Hag and back him, not just financially, but like discipline wise. You know what I mean? So then there's that. But United, good season, and we got 1 game left. So
the biggest game.
Yes, the big game against Man City. What do you think the outcome of that? How you feel about that?
I mean, you got to win. For your own sake, you got to stop the trebles, right?
Yes, we do. For that reason, yes.
I think if ever a United team needed motivation, probably going to have Ferguson in the locker room just before the game, giving out like a Braveheart speech, because you need to do whatever you can to stop the City team. But I mean, I think it's been a good, solid season. Ten Hag has he's taken the pragmatic option at times, not trying to. I don't think he's really implemented his style of play yet, because it's a little different from the way he used to play at Ajax, and that's got to do with the fact that he knows this is not his complete team. This is not the team he wants to. He probably needs to make a few more changes before he can totally implement his style of play. So given the resources he had, he went about being pragmatic and just securing top 4, which actually is a big achievement, because we spoke at the beginning of the season, and we actually, I think we spoke that this is going to be a free hit for him this season. And so the fact that he's got top 4, got a trophy, and has a chance of getting another trophy it's a big deal. So it's actually the kind of best case scenario season I think of when I think of Pochettino next season. And this was Ten Hag's first season, right? So I think he ticked every box that he could. And if he gets that, he's shown himself to be a good cup coach. So I mean, his Ajax team too, right? They were really well in tournament football. So I wouldn't count you guys out in the FA Cup final.
It's funny. I was talking to Lloyd before the podcast, and he's like, "Are you nervous about the game this weekend?" And I was like, "Why would I be nervous when I know we're not going to win?" Like, I'd only be nervous if towards the end of the game there was a chance to win and we were up 1 and there was 10 minutes left. I'd be nervous then, but like, we're not going to beat City, so why would I be nervous? But now that you've thrown in the fact that we need to stop the treble, I'm not nervous, but I'm like, damn, that makes me like have to like put more emotionally into this, and I point my hands at the TV and try to send them power through the screen, to like win that game. So I'll probably be exhausted with my Merlin powers by the end of this game. But let's go to 4. Newcastle, 71 points. They thought they could finish ahead of Man United, but you can't, Newcastle, because you're Newcastle. But still, congratulations, still Newcastle, for finishing top 4. You're in the Champions League spot, but don't you ever, never, never dare to try to finish in front of Man United again. You're disrespectful, but great Geordie team and play, and Eddie Howe and, you know, Callum Wilson. He's still had an injury season, but the least amount of injury that's possible. And got a bunch of goals, and Isaacs and Gumerez and Joe Linton and Willock, and Willock got sold from Arsenal, but he's going to be playing in the Champions League, just like everybody he grew up with on that Arsenal team. So he'll be good. But what do you think of like Newcastle season?
Yeah, great. Again, great season. This is the reason why last season I was willing the entire league to band together and somehow figure out a way to relegate Newcastle in those months where it looked like it could be a possibility, because they're now a threat. They're now a threat to almost everybody. And you see their games like this so compact, it's almost impossible to get through them at times. And of course, they don't have the firepower up front yet. I think Isak he's good, but he's still in the making, right? He's still a project player, I feel. They're probably going to make some additions there. Eddie Howe has laid the perfect foundation for a team that's going to be successful in the next decade. So, it'll be interesting to see how they deal with Champions League football, because now you suddenly have to play midweek football at a good quality. But yeah, great for the fans, great for the stadium there. It's been a long time since Champions League has been in St. James Park. So yeah, it'll be a good spectacle to see.
One thing I want to bring up about Champions League is, people always, it's funny, and these are experts in football. They always talk about Europa League, and you have to play Thursday and then play on the weekend again. Like, so you play Thursday, then you have to play Saturday or Sunday. But nobody talks about you play Sunday and then you might have to play Tuesday. Like, what's the difference if you're in Champions League? It's like if you're in Champions League or Europa League, at some point you're going to get caught on the front end or the back end. Like, I know Champions League is more glorious and glamorous, but if you play it on Sunday and then you have to play Tuesday, that's just as reverse bad as it is playing on Thursday and then playing Saturday or Sunday. It's like, it's still a little bit amount of games, but I think
you can actually rotate in Europa League. You can't necessarily rotate in Champions League because those games are tough. So you can actually give a good rest to some of the players, even if you have to play Thursday. But it's just the fact that you definitely know you're playing Thursday every week. On Champions League, you can get lucky with your Wednesday games too, half the time.
Right. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And you don't really have to go to places where you have to probably take a long flight, stuff like that.
Yeah, or 3 flights.
3 flights, yeah.
You don't have to planes, trains, and automobile it to that place. Liverpool, 5th with 67 points. That's what you get, Liverpool. When you beat Manchester United 7-0, you had no idea you were going to finish behind us, but you did. So you could keep your 7-up and your 7-0, but you are behind us. And you are in the Europa League, and you'll be on that bus, that train, and that plane to some shitty-ass fields to play against some grimy-ass teams. I don't want to say grimy, like tough, like gritty. So enjoy that. Enjoy that, Klopp and the boys. But you finally got it together towards the end of the season, made a run, got back to top 5. But I'm not even going to ask you how do you think they did, do you think this team will become dangerous and a top 4 contender next year?
Oh, I think they can even like contend for the title next year, because I actually feel low-key they had a decent season in terms of attacking output. They scored a whole lot of goals. They created a whole lot of chances. Their problem was the defense this season. And if they can fix that, and Klopp has shown in the past that he can fix a defense, because even you saw that they're making a run, but their last game, they conceded 4 goals to Southampton.
Mm-hmm.
So defensively, they definitely have issues, and they kind of stem with the instability that's happened, and maybe even a drop in quality that has happened in midfield. Fabinho isn't the prime Fabinho anymore, so they probably need to make a few changes there. And it seems like there's a lot of talk about that Klopp is going to do that. They are going to reinvest in midfield. But I feel in attack, they have actually been really good. If you look at the number of big chances created, they're on par. They're top of the table, on par with Man City on 103 big chances, which is insane. Like, that is a league title winning statistic. And even on XG, they're really high. I think they're second only to Man City. So offensively, I think they've been fine, and they only, if they make some more changes, they're only going to get better. Defensively, they definitely have a lot of issues, and they would have been even worse if Alisson didn't have the season they had. So, and if you're a Liverpool fan, you kind of have to trust Klopp to figure it out with recruitment on what's going to happen defensively. So, yeah, I think they'll be fine. It's just that it's a lot of competition now. Like, we just went through all the teams, and I actually have positive things to say about all these teams. So, but somebody has to lose out, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's not going to be easy, but you can definitely see them get back into the mix.
Here's something about Liverpool, is that they have some of the pieces, and the pieces got discovered for them, like later on in the season. Like Curtis Jones, like is finally like playing at the level that he wasn't playing before. Towards the end of the season, if he could keep that up, he's a starter. He really did some special things in a lot of those games that helped get them in that run to get to 5th. They have Basetic, who got injured, but so that's another midfield piece. And they run 3 midfielders. So if Harvey Elliott, he kind of fell off. I don't know if it's because of injuries or he just wasn't good enough. Like, he was definitely good offensively, but I don't know how good he is at like hunting people down and getting the ball back. And then they still might. And then with the other pieces, like what's his name, the Dutch guy that's their forward that they bought, Gakpo, and they got what's his name back from the Colombian dude back. So he was the replacement for Mane, but he wasn't around for most of the season. That's very important, to lose Mane and then lose his replacement. So he's going to be back, and I think Darwin Nunez is. Like, they have some scary options and rotations for their front. But like we said, their midfield. I think there's one more midfielder I'm not remembering right now that they could throw in the mix, and it's not Alcantara, but they still have him. But they definitely need 1 or 2 midfielders. I don't know who it's going to be necessarily, but
I mean, if James Milner has to play another game in midfield, then you're in trouble.
He played his last game. He's going to, I think, Brighton Hove.
Oh, is that decided? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think he's going to Brighton Hove.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he played his last game.
They have a lot of options. They have even that Fulham kid, Carvalho. He can play in an attacking midfield role if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So Naby Keita might go, actually.
Yeah, Naby Keita is probably going to go. Oxlade-Chamberlain is going to go. So they got people that are going to go. They could scrounge their pennies together from the sale of those players, and put some money down on a midfielder, one that. But it's top. Like Klopp knows who the good field. He bought wrong, because we mentioned so many midfielders that he doesn't use. So then he never used them because he didn't believe in them. So he bought the starting midfielders right, but he didn't buy the backup midfielders right because he doesn't use these guys all the time. Sometimes he'll just be losing, and those guys will be on the bench, and he won't make the change. It's like that's just shows me a lack of belief. There was something Liverpool else I wanted to ask you based on what you just said, but I can't remember what it is right now. So we'll just go to Brighton. And Brighton, De Zerbi, they finished sixth. They got 62 points, 72 goals. They scored a lot of goals. They let in 53 goals. So they let some goals in. But definitely a really good season for Brighton. Like, it's probably their highest top flight finish. And nobody expected this from them. They started out under Potter, trying to play good football, but it was ugly. And the next season, they played better football, but didn't get the results. And then this season, they played better football and started getting the results. But then Potter had to go to Chelsea, and you thought, but they have a good system in place to find backups for their backups. I also listened to a podcast of their sporting director,
Paul Barber.
I got to listen to what this guy's got to say. Well, like, what's the secret here? And basically they are prepared to be bought and sold by like their employees, whether they're players or members of their key staff, and they always are preparing the next person to take their place. And that's why they didn't have to look for De Zerbi. They knew about him, so it was a quick deal, quick transaction. Like think of all the big teams that still don't have a coach yet that were in trouble this season, and Brighton got a guy that improved upon what the last guy did. Yeah. So, and then it's not even fair to say he improved on it. Like, who knows what Potter would have did?
I mean, when Potter left, they were fourth in the table. I mean, I know it was just six or seven games, but they were fourth on the table. So they already had a good start to the season. I mean, that's part of the reason why we even went for him, I guess.
Right. Because he was above you guys at that point, was he?
Yeah, I think so, because we were sixth. Right. But, I heard that podcast too. Again, very, very insightful to know about, what happens behind the scenes and how long it takes. And also, like, reading about from some Brighton fans said that Paul Barber, apparently him and when they took over, they got a lot of grief from Brighton fans in the initial days because it wasn't really working and the results weren't going that way. And it just tells you, like, sometimes when you put you put things together for a project, it takes a little bit of time. And it's about whether you as a club and a fan base can have patience through that process. So, it's right now, it feels like it's the ideal prototype of how a club should be done.
Yeah, but they basically did what Klopp did when he got to Liverpool. Started this style of play that improved season after season. But at least with Klopp, you could see it kind of right away, but there was still some frustrating results. And Brighton had like a lesser caliber player, so it was easy to pull it off as soon as Klopp pulled it off. But that's almost tougher to stick to it when you're a Brighton. But they finished in Potter's first season where they would have finished in another season with Chris Hughton. So it's like they didn't have anything to lose. Nobody expected anything more. So it's like, fuck it. But you have to stick to what you are doing. And a lot of teams that went down blinked. You know what I mean? A lot of teams that you can't blink, man. You got to play chicken and just go for it until sometimes, like even Man City does it. We discussed like a lot of their players that didn't play good at first, took a year and a half, but they worked on these people like their projects and got them to the caliber that they are at now. And they're all excellent players. And that's because, there's a lot of patience. You got to have patience and you got to like put your hand in your ear and block out the fans because you know more football than them. Then the thing about Brighton, though, is so we're going to go to Aston Villa, who's seventh. And I was telling Lloyd, I think Aston Villa, who finished with 61 points in 7th, behind Brighton, who finished 6th with 62 points, I feel like Aston Villa would do better than Brighton next year. You know why I think they'll do better? Because nobody is looking to buy Aston Villa's players, but everybody's looking to buy several key players from Brighton. Mm-hmm. Like people want McAllister, Matoma, they want the kid Ferguson, and that's just to name 3. Ain't nobody talking about buying anybody from Aston Villa. So I think Aston Villa will have a better chance of holding on to their players than Brighton, and that could put them ahead of Brighton. And also, the thing with Villa is Unai Emery's over there improving players too. And he's done enough to earn the fans' confidence in half a season. From January, he pulled the Eddie Howe at Villa. But except Villa did not get, Eddie Howe did not get into Europe even though it's Conference League in his first season. But it's a version of what Eddie Howe did. So Unai Emery next year versus De Zerbi, who do you think would do better next year? De Zerbi or Emery?
I think De Zerbi. He just has, I think he has a more, like a style of play which can actually scale up. I feel the ceiling is high with De Zerbi, with what he can do. And with the system he has at Brighton, they're always going to be able to provide him with the caliber of player needed for him to implement that. Aston Villa, I'm not that sure. They've organizationally they can do wrong things. Brighton, it seems like if De Zerbi says that tomorrow he needs a left-footed center back who's comfortable playing in the half space, I think they can just go into their bag of tricks and pick somebody up, and he'll fit in like a glove. So and it's going to happen, right? Like this, De Zerbi's almost hinted at it. He said that there's a good chance Caicedo, and he mentioned somebody else.
Was it Ferguson? Was it Matoma? Was it McAllister?
I think McAllister. So he said McAllister and Caicedo might have already played the last game for Brighton.
Damn.
And so then they're aware of where they stand in the pecking order, and they're comfortable with it. And they already have plan B, plan C, accounting for that fact. I actually feel De Zerbi. The only thing that can go wrong is De Zerbi gets poached in the summer. It can happen. I wouldn't put it, because I think De Zerbi's raised a lot of eyebrows.
Who would poach him? Because all the teams above him, like you say, this is why Brighton might be safe with also their players. It's like Liverpool could probably poach some of their players, but they won't poach their coach. Newcastle might try to poach some of their players, but not their coach. United might try to get some of their players, but not their coach. Arsenal won't try to get their coach. Man City. If anybody below the table is like, I'm here, it'd be like, De Zerbi could be like, you're 8th, bro. You're not even in Europe. And all you got is Harry Kane, and your coach, your organization doesn't buy good players. Like, why would I go to you? Like, there's no reason for me. You have a bigger name, you have a new stadium, but that's all you got. If I stay in Brighton, I could get a better offer from somewhere else. Like, there's no way, like, I would go to Tottenham for what?
No, I agree. I agree. De Zerbi can't say no, but that doesn't mean that they won't try and they won't, put a big bag of money, because you're right. Like the Feyenoord coach, he apparently said no. So
right,
clubs have kind of said no to Spurs, but I mean, they're going to end up appointing somebody. And,
Well, let me ask you this question. And I'm not like reacting to, I'm just excited that Tottenham is in trouble coach-wise. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to like seal their doom in this conversation. Like, like in a mummy tomb. Like, just I'm cementing this shit shut. Like, they're in trouble. So that's where the excitement's come from. I'm like trying to like use logic to like doom these people. because they're eighth, and we might as well get to them. Tottenham's eighth. Like, remember when Tottenham had trouble? What place did they finish when they had trouble getting a coach after Mourinho, and it ended up with the Wolves ex-coach? What place had they finished then?
After Mourinho, I think they finished fifth, right?
I think they finished fifth, and they had what's his name? I can't remember his name, but I think he just won the Saudi league. But he's Portuguese.
Nuno Espirito?
Nunes, yes, Nuno. So remember
Nuno.
when they had to settle for Nuno, but they were
Yeah. I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
So now they're in trouble, because if they couldn't get a coach when they were fifth, how are they going to get one when they're eighth? You know what I'm saying? How are they going to get a good one when they? And I think Tottenham's mentality is completely off right now. This is what Tottenham needs to be thinking as far as
they finished seventh that season.
They finished seventh that season.
Yeah.
Now they're even worse. So, but here's where Tottenham's head needs to be. They can't ask for Villa's coach. They can't ask for Brighton's coach, which is normally what you would do, because he's like, why? Why? Like, but and everybody knows that Harry Kane has 1 year left on his contract. They're in big trouble. But where their mindset needs to be is the year that they get poached from Southampton. Like Spurs and Poch made themselves Spurs and Poch, like two desirable entities in the Premier League. And that's what Spurs need. Like, who's the next guy that is going to make us desirable like Poch made us desirable? Because when they got Poch from Southampton, nobody was thinking about Poch really, except Southampton, who got him before and he did some stuff. So they need to stop looking at these top managers that they've been getting over the while and go back to where was their head at when they said, let's do Poch?
I think that's what they're looking
Poch
at.
Before Poch.
I think that's where De Zerbi comes in, because he's still not, his stock isn't still, elite level. So he might be, or they're trying to get the Celtic guy. I can't even pronounce his name. It's too, his last name is too complicated. But yes. So I think they might have better luck trying to poach him from Celtic than De Zerbi. The thing is, Brighton, I think with what happened with Potter, I don't think they'll allow that to happen in back-to-back seasons. So from an organizational point of view, even though they have the logic of, if somebody wants to leave, you leave, but I think they will kind of enforce the contract in this case if they do get poached.
You said Potter. What about Potter going there?
Oh, actually, yeah, that's a good point. Because that's actually the kind of step he should have taken from Brighton, like that mid-step. But I haven't really heard much of it. I've been hearing that he's linked to the Crystal Palace job. I haven't heard much of him being linked to the Spurs job. I think Spurs is in a situation where, you go to the club, you try and score with girls, but then you realize where you are in the pecking order. It takes you a while to get used to it, and they're still not at final call. They're still at midnight. It's gonna take them for the bouncer to stop letting people in for them to realize where they're at.
Yeah, they think they're still somebody's first wife. You're third wife material. I don't know how the level of, or you're a divorcee, bro. You're not gonna get, this is not your first time at the dance. They could see your gray hairs. You're not. Yeah,
Mourinho kind of stuck the knife in last week. Did you hear his comments on Tottenham?
Yep.
Yeah, he said that's the only, literally his quote was, I have got deep connection with every club I've ever been at, except Mr. Levy's club. He's like not even calling it Tottenham, he's calling it Mr. Levy's club.
That's funny because we thought that was weird that Levy fired him right before that game, and then they lost it, and then now years later, like Mourinho brings it up, and it's true. Like they could have won that game because Spurs. Who did they play in that final? Was it
I think it's City.
City or somebody? Yeah,
I think it's City.
And it was like Ryan Mason, I guess, coached them on that game. Yeah, but yeah, you could have won something against a legit team, and like had a trophy. And it's like, what are you trying to avoid winning trophies?
They're so allergic to winning trophies.
Yeah. Like to the point where you're doing the things to not win the trophy. Like you could have fired him after the game. It's so you're already at a loss that season. That's just bananas. Yeah, you don't do that.
And I mean, the thing I found absolutely bizarre is that apparently Pochettino was open to going back to Spurs, but Spurs never made the approach until they eventually did make the approach. By then it was too late because Chelsea were far ahead in their negotiations and like. So that's what I'm saying. They're still at 11 o'clock, 11:30, 12 o'clock. They still don't know that they should just go with what they can get. So
you had a chance to get the guy who you made the guy.
Yeah.
That everybody wants now, and you didn't go for him.
And the fan base loves him. The fan base has been calling out for him. So
Brentford is 9th. Ivan Toney got like by the season starts probably be like a 5-month ban. What do you think about?
That's another guy they could have taken, Thomas Frank.
I think he's married to Brentford. He's married to Brentford, bro.
But how long though? He's been there for a while now, right?
Yeah, he's married though, bro. Like when they say these hoes ain't loyal, this dude ain't included in that song. You know what I mean? Like
he's been there 5 years.
And he knows true love. He don't be like looking over his shoulder at other women. He's like, this is my wife. He took pictures of her of Brentford and posted it on his Instagram the first day. You know what I mean? On the first date. He's not. I just don't get that vibe for him to go to Tottenham. Like he to me, he'll be like, I could beat Tottenham. I could beat Tottenham. And if Brentford said, we'll buy you a few players. But anything's possible. Anything's possible.
Apparently, I'm just Googling it as we speak, and apparently Tottenham have made an approach to Thomas Frank in the last week or so, or the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, I mean, they will end up getting some manager, right? So he will be a name of this.
Now they're just reaching out to every. This is embarrassing. this is like you're in the club. You ask that girl to dance. She say no. You turn to the girl right next to her. She say no. Then you ask the girl right next to 2 girls that just said no, and they say no, and it's like ew. You're like, you don't care. You just I got to dance with somebody, or else this is a waste of music. So good luck, Tottenham.
Yeah.
Good luck getting a dance.
And you're like, the more time you waste, the more these girls are speaking to each other about you.
Yeah.
And the citations are going out.
You're in the group text. You are the main topic in the group text of don't dance with him.
Don't make eye contact with that weird guy in the hat.
Okay. So even the girl that should dance with you is like, nah, I don't want to dance with you. Like, that's how bad it's getting. Tottenham is the cool points are plummeting at Tottenham. Yeah. Like Brentford seems like a cooler option for Thomas Frank to stay there. It just seems cooler. Like, like forget the glass that you could put on the thing and it fills up with beer from the bottom. You're like, who cares? Tottenham, that your stadium could do that. We don't care. Fulham, 10th, really good for them. Nominated to get relegated at the beginning of the season. You finished 10th. Mitrovic, you got Mitrovic, and not only that, an ex-Spurs player who struggled with Spurs and struggled with Fulham at the beginning of the season because Mitrovic got that suspension, has now come into form, Vinicius. So they probably got two striking options. Some teams, even good ones, only got one, but they got two informed striking options on them. And if they could keep those guys to get, Fulham needs to hang on to those guys. And I also heard Fulham wants Fred, and you're welcome, Fulham. You could have him. Just offer us a decent amount of money. You see what one of our ex-players is doing for you already. And you see what Willian is doing, a rejected by Neil Willian did for you this year. Willian, who's discarded by Chelsea, finished with Fulham above Chelsea this year. So we don't want to leave that out. That's facts. and someone else's, Chelsea's garbage becomes Fulham's treasure. And they did their thing. Crystal Palace finished 11th after being in relegation trouble. They got 45 points. And good Roy Hudson pulled off like a miracle, because I didn't believe he had this in him. But I still say, if you'd have kept Patrick Vieira, he could have done this, because this was the easy part of the schedule. So I'm just going to throw that in. I don't know if you have anything to say about Crystal Palace.
No, I mean, there was this point in the season where this looked like half the table was in the relegation fight, and you'll see now, even at the end, there's a lot of teams that didn't get to 40 points but still survived. So it was almost like a league of two different halves. And Crystal Palace, I think they kind of jumped the gun on Patrick Vieira. I think there was a lot of disrespect in the way they treated the guy. I think he should have kept his job. And he said, the easier part of the schedule was bound to come, and I don't think Roy Hodgson really turned the place around. They just kept doing the basics right, and the results eventually came, and they came just about enough for them to survive. So it wasn't like the team went on a really crazy run of form.
I will say that they beat some teams that should have beat, but it wasn't close. They beat them. So that did surprise me. They dropped some 4-1, some 3-0s, and some good results. Clearly won the game from the beginning of the game, or at least the beginning of the second half, which was surprising. But hey, man, it was the easy part of your schedule, and so And here's an embarrassing thing that they did to Patrick Vieira. Not only did they fire him, they disrespected him by hiring Roy Hudson. They said, Roy, the old guy that was going to have a heart attack with a turkey neck, we'd rather have him than have you finish this season. They disrespected Patrick Vieira more than the Everton fans did the day they played Crystal Palace and got saved and ran on the field, and that fan attacked Patrick Vieira. And Patrick Vieira, it was a level of disrespect. So, hey, man, the disrespect worked out in Crystal Palace's favor, so I can't say anything. And long live Eze.
Oh, man, that guy's special. Yeah.
And now, when we start talking about the England squad and adding that guy to it, the England guys, listen, so the next team is all yours. It's Chelsea. But let me just go back 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, Man United played Chelsea. Not even 2 weeks ago, last week, midweek. And we trounced Chelsea 4-1. I have to just say that to just get that out. But who was the best player on the field that day?
Who was the best player on the field that day? Definitely not Mudryk, because if he had put his foot on the ball, we could have had a 1-0 lead in the first 5 minutes or so. But who was
it was
the
a
best
Chelsea player? It was a Chelsea player.
I thought Sancho is pretty good.
Yeah, but you know who was better than him? I don't remember. It's Cole. What's Cole's first or last name? Is Cole what's
Ashley
his
Cole.
name?
Oh, are you talking about Lewis Hall?
Yes, Hall.
Lewis Hall.
Like
Yeah, he's
I
been,
was watching that game and I
yeah,
was like, yo,
yeah.
this guy, and he's English, right?
He's English, yeah.
He was everything he did was perfect. He was the best player on the field, and I was like blown away. And I was like, nobody's gonna give him the player of the match because his team lost 4-1, but he was the fucking best player on the field. And it's like this Chelsea hasn't been playing him. He kind of got forgotten, but because they have so many new players, but he's the, who he plays better than Cucurella played all season in 2 games. And
Yeah.
and Chilwell is Chilwell you got?
Yeah, but
He's
Chilwell's
always
he's injured, yeah.
Is always injured. This kid, that put everything into that fucking kid. Like there was no even when we pressed,
Yeah.
no fear, got out of it, and that motherfucker. Yeah, I can't say enough about him.
And you know what's the craziest thing about Lewis Hall this season?
Mm-hmm.
He's only played, I think, 11 games.
Mm-hmm.
9 of them or 8 of them are against Man City, Liverpool, Man United, Newcastle. So he only plays tough games.
Yeah.
So he's had an excellent, I think he's had one bad game.
Yeah, he did have one bad game, and I think they held against Man City or something.
Man City, yeah. He had one bad game, but he's played 3 other games against Man City, and he was, again, like how you're saying, he's probably Chelsea's best player in those games. But he's had most of his games have been good, unlike almost the entire rest of the squad, whose most of the games have been bad. And he's done that while only playing the tough games. So yeah, lots of props to him. He got the Young Player of the Season award or the Academy Player of the Season award, because he's also doing.
And all you got is young players. So to win the Young Player of the Season award at Chelsea means that you won the Player of the Year at Chelsea, because all you got is young players.
No. So yeah, Lewis Hall, I hope the fact that he also had a strong end to the season means something, because my biggest fear is we're not going to see him next season, because Chilwell's going to be around. Cucurella is, what I would do, and what I would do is I would cut my losses on Cucurella, and I would use Chilwell, Hall, and Ian Maatsen, who's coming back from loan, who had a great season with Burnley. He's probably one of their best players, and use them in that left wing back position, but also use Hall as a midfielder, because actually that's his best position. That's where he plays most of the time in the academy. And if we are gonna have these exits in midfield, as are rumored, I think there's going to be a space in midfield for him to use too.
Yeah. Also, why don't you do this? Like that player that you got coming back from Burnley, right?
Ian Maatsen.
How much could you get? How much could you get for him?
I think you can get like 20-30 million for him, because he's, unless it's on his last year, which I don't think he is, because his stocks are really high right now.
Why don't you sell him to Burnley for that, and then you keep Cucurella just for experience, because you also, we're talking about not giving up on people, and how Jack Grealish had a terrible first year, and that step up is not easy. It wasn't easy for Potter as a coach. It wasn't easy for Grealish as a player, or just a lot of players, So you could still get something out of Cucurella, sell that player, and or everything be satisfied, and Hall could still go in the middle sometimes, and you'll have two left backs, But
maybe like sell him with a buyback clause, something like that, because I don't think he's gonna go on another loan. He's already been on 4 loans. He's been to Yeah, he's been to Charlton. He's been to, which other team did he go to last season? Yeah, so he's been on more than 2 loans. So I don't think you want to get in a position where you want to be like on your 4th loan or something. So, and he
How old
knows
is
now
he?
he's 21, 22.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's probably also gonna look and try to make the Dutch team. So yeah,
Mm.
he's
And
been on 3 loans: Charlton,
you know,
Coventry, and Burnley.
and also, he not him, but I'm just thinking about like that guy. That is it, Jamal Lewis for Man City?
Rico Lewis.
Rico Lewis. He's also press resistant.
Yeah.
What's the name of this guy that I'm talking about for Chelsea again?
Ian Matson.
No, not Madsen, the other one.
Oh,
Sorry.
Lewis Hall.
They both
Yeah.
are press resistant. Like
Yeah.
against good teams, like
Yeah.
not losing the ball, dealing with it,
Composure.
composure,
Yeah.
out to the like composure. You can put your finger on it. Like, oh, that's composure. I know exactly what that is. Like, and that's not a given in any like your boy. He doesn't even. Mason Mount don't have that amount of composure of these two guys.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you plays out from the back, it kind of looks like everything is really calm, and
Yes.
You kind of get it from his demeanor too. Like he speaks in interviews almost like he's in a poetry class. Really soft spoken and eloquent. So yeah, I really hope that he doesn't fall through that. I hope Pochettino is really looking at him and figures out a way to use him, because he needs to be rewarded for the kind of season he's had.
Yeah, you know what you need to do? Sell him so that Todd Bowley would want to buy him. Like introduce him as a player that you don't have. We gotta get this player. Todd.
You know what? You're not wrong, because it's kind of happening. So a lot of these academy players have figured out the way to get them be wanted is playing hard to get. Broja did that last season. He got a good contract. And Levi Colwill at Brighton, who's had a great second half of the season, he wasn't really playing a lot in the first half. And I think second half, De Zerbi started using him, and he's made that position his own.
Speaking of that, Brighton, is that guy still the midfielder?
No, Billy Gilmer is not a player anymore. But Levi Colwill, yeah, we sold him
to Brighton.
To Brighton.
Oh, okay, I couldn't remember if it was a loan or a sale.
No, we had to kind of sell him because we had already agreed for the loan of Levi Colwill. So we can't have 2 players on loan to the same Premier League club.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, Colwill, I think he's probably rated as the biggest talent coming out of the academy in a while. So the fact that he wasn't getting minutes in the first half of the season was concerning, but he's made that position his own. And again, composure. He looks so cultured on the ball from a left-sided centre back. And reports have come in that Badiashile actually injured himself in the lead up to the last game. So, and it's a bad injury. He'll be out for 4 months. So I think Colwill has a good shot of making that the left-sided centre back position his own. So yeah, I'm really excited to see him come back.
The way your defense been playing, me and you got a good chance of making left centre back. And I'm a right-footed player.
I mean, I think our defense has been really bad under Lampard, but before that, we were still in the best 3 or 4 defenses in the league. So yeah, I'm not that worried about our defense. I'm more worried about how do we figure out this combination and attack.
Right. Even in, you mentioned the chances you guys missed against us, even though I think we missed just as many chances against you, plus if you add in the ones that we took.
Yeah.
But your XG, I think, was high against us. So even on the Lampard, that must be frustrating as a coach. This is a question I asked you. on in the chat, but this is a funny question to ask somebody. Who is your coach of the season for Chelsea?
I said that. Bruno Saltor. Bruno Saltor is my coach of the season because.
And remind us who Bruno is again, because I forgot he was one of your coaches.
Yeah, I think he forgot to. I think he forgot to because he was only there for one game versus Liverpool. Mm-hmm. And I thought he played really well. We were really strong and compact in defense. And the only thing a manager coach can do is set yourself up to be in good positions, create a lot of good chances. And we did that. We didn't score running through the season, but the coach can't do much about that. So among all the coaches, he's the one I didn't have a complaint against. So therefore he wins by default.
He's the only one that only had a draw.
Yeah, undefeated.
Undefeated. Oh man. Let's go to Wolves. Lopetegui pulled it out. He got Wolves to 13th. He got them out of their relegation battle. They got 41 points, 1 point more than you need to survive. His first half a season or whatever amount of games in the Prem. But he already knows he's on some Conte vibes. He's like, Wolves and him are having disagreements over what to do already for next season. So he's asked in advance. So it seems like he wants to get out of this contract. And Wolves are in trouble if they lose him. They might have to spend some money, but Lopetegui ain't a relegation battle saver coach. He goes to try to do something. And he's always been looking for the type of team that'll give him a chance to do something. And so, hey, maybe, again, Spurs, you wait around a little bit. Maybe Lopetegui leaves Wolves, and maybe you could grab a coach. So that's an opportunity too. And me and you talked about, let's just go back to Chelsea, about how do you feel about Poch now that he's official? Because we talked about him as a possibility before. Now, how do you feel?
I've not been his biggest fan, but I was coming from a point where I felt we were ready to take the next big step to actually challenging for titles and winning titles. So
now that you've been humbled by this entire season.
Yeah. So it's the same thing that I spoke about Spurs, right? Once you realize where you are in the pecking order, you gotta you get the reality check and you gotta humble yourself. So I think where we are as a club right now, top 4 seems aspirational, and I think Poch is fine for that. He can come in and he's got a proven record in the Premier League of getting a group of players, getting a club, pushing towards that next level. So he's got a good record with young players. He's got a good record with playing 4 at the back, which I really wanted personally, because I feel that really suits the personnel that we have, as long as we can buy that new DM or holding DM, which I think we will. I just, I've been craving at Chelsea the most. Forget the trophies, forget everything. I've just wanted some common sense to be applied. And it's just been lacking so much this season that I feel if he can just come in and do the basics right, show some common sense, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, you need some common sense there. But even though, listen, I know you saying firing Tuchel was not a common sense decision, but I remember kind of making fun of Chelsea in the preseason, especially when it was touring in America, and you guys were off then. I said, something's wrong with this team. I can't put my finger on it, but this is not right. This team that just won the Champions League, it's off. And if this is the way they come into the season, it's not going to be good. And the beginning of the season, let's be honest, even if Tuchel was winning and the season was going great, he wouldn't have got fired, even if they had the disagreement with Bowley. So you can't put this all on Bowley. Something was off from the get-go. And I don't know if the sale threw Tuchel off like finally, because it didn't in the beginning, but there's a lot of chemistry issues. Sterling was misfiring. That like this thing, it like Frank got the brunt of it, but you know there was just something always wrong with Chelsea from the preseason. So I could see that. Couldn't put
No,
my
I
finger.
agree.
I didn't know it was going to get this bad, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think one bad decision led to a lot of like, it just kept happening one after the other. And Tuchel, even before he left, was on record saying that he didn't like the fact that both Marina and Czech left. So he had a nice working relationship with them. And that kind of had to be, had to just completely, he had to start from scratch again. So, I mean, when, the Abramovich sale happened, I was a little bit disillusioned with the way the club was being run. So I looked at it as a positive thing that, this club does need improvement. I think a lot of clubs have, in terms of, you saw the Brighton podcast, right? In terms of like setting processes and, getting a system behind the scenes going, I think a lot of clubs have gone past Chelsea in that. And we've kind of been sleeping at the wheel. So I looked at it as a positive thing that a new ownership can come in and set things in place. But I always thought that we needed evolution. We needed incremental change. We didn't need a revolution. Like the way he's gone about it, tearing everything down. Like I don't think in the history of business, some guy has come into a new business and absolutely fired everyone talked about him. And he's fired the groundsman. He's fired the masseur.
Damn.
So he's fired the groundsman and his son. So
shit.
I don't really know what he's thinking of. Like he didn't need to do any of that. So yeah, I hopefully he's learned his lessons, and hopefully now the football people, which again I feel like we hired. Here's how stupid it is, and he makes people like me look stupid too, because I've wanted certain professionals in certain positions come in, but then you can't get 6 of those guys, because then you're going to have the problem of who's actually making the decision.
Right.
You need one sporting director
playing Game of Thrones against each other instead of doing their job.
Exactly.
Right? Trying to survive the job and be the one who lasts, as opposed to So.
And then when things go wrong, everybody's pointing the finger at somebody else. That's bound to happen. So
yeah, we'll see Chelsea. Hopefully, Poch. It's going to be a lot of work on Poch, and then also something that they've been saying about Chelsea is Chelsea has to rebuild. No, Chelsea don't need to rebuild. They need to chisel what they have into a shape. So it's there for the most part. Like if you finish in the top 4 this season, I actually expect it. I'm actually worried about you. I feel like Poch just has to show his good legislative organization, accounting skills, and apply it to this team and add by subtracting, and you should be good. Like even forwards, people who can't put the ball in the back of the net, you have that coming in on top of the ones you already overly have there. So you got 2 guys. Like today I watched a show and they put all the Chelsea players in the positions. And
are you talking about Megan Thee Stallion's boyfriend?
Yes. Lukaku was not on the list. Lukaku the Stallion was not on the list, and neither was Nkunku. And I was like, they forgot about these 2 guys, So this you have to chisel away what you don't want, and he has to have some meetings, talk to people, and see what's up. And figure it out, and make. Let me ask you a question. This is the question I want to ask you. What do you think is the best team at this point? Spurs when Pochettino first got there, or Chelsea right now that Pochettino's there? Who do you think is the better team.
Oh, definitely us. Definitely us.
Yes. So then you're good. Then you're good. You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
It's only.
But except for one caveat, and I'm not able to recall right now who was Spurs. I think was it Adebayor? Who was the striker when
Somebody was on their way out.
Yes, probably.
Somebody
Adebayor.
was on there. Yeah. Or I think Adebayo had gone to Arts because Adebayo went to, well, no, I think he was done, but I can't remember. But I just remember when Kane came in and they was talking about this kid. And he came in at the end of his first
season. He came back from loan somewhere.
From loan somewhere. And it was like towards the end. And he scored like a few goals. And we were like, all right, let's see if this can continue next year. And then he started getting injured at the beginning of season. So then he had that knock where he didn't score. And then so they would say, with injury or not, he didn't score in
it was
August, September.
It looks like it was Adebayor. Yeah.
And that's not a great Adebayor either.
So my only caveat to that is I think we're a better team than Spurs then. But if you can't score goals, you don't win games of football. And we don't have.
But I think you have the coach. I think you have the players who could put the ball in the back of the net. I don't know why they won't put it in the back of the net. I still think attacking wise, you have more. You have way more options attacking than Spurs had when Pochettino got there. Just way more. So I think
get me Harry Kane, Poch. Like if you want to endear yourselves to Chelsea fans, get us Harry Kane.
Trade a Lukaku for a Kane. Do that. That can happen.
Yeah.
All right, that's that theory that you mentioned that I thought, all right, that's plausible. It was 100% plausible.
Yeah.
Let's go through the others really quick. We talked about Wolves a little bit. West Ham got the 40 points. They're safe. And your boy, David Moyes, is in the European final. It's the Conference League, so let's not get crazy. But I hope he wins it. Just for his legacy's sake. He deserves something. And he is too old school and doesn't change much and plays basic football. He's a part of the problem why English coaches don't win anything. They don't seem to like evolve as the game evolves. So he's standing still as the game goes forward. He's playing a really dangerous, I think playing is who are they playing? Fiorentina. I don't know how dangerous Fiorentina is, but I hope West Ham has more and those players give it all and they win that final in that stadium that's only going to allow under 5,000 fans from each team. I don't know why they played it in a high school football stadium. I don't know what the point is if it's a European final. Those numbers are crazy. So it's like, if you want the tournament to be big, put it in a bigger stadium. The fans will go. Like all the West Ham fans will go. But they've never been in any final in a minute. And Fiorentina too, they would have traveled. Like, I don't understand why it's in a tiny ass stadium somewhere. I don't know where it's at, but good luck, West Ham. Bournemouth, I'm glad they're safe. I'm happy. For some reason, I like this coach and the position that he got stuck in after Scott Parker got fired and the fact that he saved the team. I think Scott Parker was right to want more players and got fired for being right about it. But, I'm happy that this coach, figured out a way to stay up and he got a coaching job and good luck to him next year because they're going to need players next year. And I think they backed him a little bit in the January window. I can't remember who they got, but good for them. I'm happy for Nottingham Forest too. I feel like if they'd have got relegated, that Greek magnet sitting on the sidelines, like he's John Travolta, who just like John Travolta, who hasn't danced in 20 years, like would have had a heart attack. So I'm happy for Forest, just a legendary name in English football, and I'm glad they stayed up. Everton, you ruined my prediction of you going down. Like I never pick a relegation team at the beginning of any season. I'm like, I don't have no business at that end of the table, but I was like, there's no way Everton's going to stay up. But then, they did something. They had Sean Dyche, and I was like, if they are going to stay up, it's because of Sean Dyche, and they stayed up. because of Sean Dyche. So he got back. It's 2 seasons in a row where Everton celebrated staying up and had pitch invaders. And we'll see if they keep Sean Dyche. But whatever money you have this season, Everton, because they have financial fair play like issues, buy a forward. Buy a forward. You don't need anything else. You need goals, bro. You need goals. You let in 57 goals and you scored 34. You need goals, bro. Period. Like that's all you need to identify. Like even 1 goal a game extra, like just a lead will get you more goals. You know, you need goals. I don't know if you want to say anything about Everton.
I mean, I'm happy they stayed back. I think it's one of those clubs where, and they also have the new stadium coming up, right? I think it'd been tough for them in the championship. And for Lee's sake, I think it's good if some of the bigger clubs aren't in the championship, so he gets an easier ride next season. So, yeah. Although Leicester is going to be a little bit of a problem in the championship, but
if they keep what they got, but they might sell.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing about Everton is, all right, I'm going to go off your point about them staying up and they got the new stadium, because whoever plays, I looked at footage of that Luton Stadium who just got promoted. Like, you're going to need to play in Everton's new stadium to get over playing in Luton Stadium the week before. Like, if you're no matter where you at in the Premier League, the top of the table, after you play at Luton, you're going to be like, are we in the non-league? You're going to feel like you just were in the non-league once you walk through somebody's house to get, and somebody's garden to get into the away stand. It's treacherous. You could die, bro. Like walking into that stadium, bro. It's.
I love it. I hope Chelsea's first game away is at Luton. These lot of players need some humbling. I really hope they get to play Luton first thing. It's actually their capacity is not even 10,000. It's like 9,800 or something. It's the lowest capacity in the championship.
Yo, I don't even trust the stadium like that. Like, you know how you say you hope it's Chelsea's first game? The Chelsea players might walk into that stadium. Oh, we can beat this team just by looking at, and then Luton just like fight the fuck out of them. Like, it's too much of you might get General Custard in there. Like, oh, it's just 10 Indians. We could beat them. It's just 10 Native American Indians, and then you get surrounded because with overconfidence. It's like that. Going into that stadium might be Luton's best defense, because there's no way you're gonna think you're gonna lose to a team that owns that stadium, and they might come hard. You know, like you're gonna be playing a bunch of cannibals. Good luck.
But
down, bro.
On that note, well done to Luton. Like, I was just looking at their journey from non-league to the Premier League in 9 years. That's a job well done. And Nathan Jones, he kind of set them up, and now look at where he is. Look where his club is.
Right.
It's a great journey, and I'm pretty sure I can't wait for that Netflix documentary. I'm pretty sure somebody's already making it on Luton.
Yeah, he got I mean, they play well in a nice stadium because they did great at Wembley. They were pelting the shit out of is it Coventry they beat? They had Coventry under pressure. It's like, so you could see what he could do on a pitch that's real size and that can hold fans. I was like, where did all these Luton fans come from? That stadium was filled. Wembley was filled. Like, so you mean Luton really has that many fans? That this has to be the most coveted ticket. If only 10,000 can fit in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So Leicester's down. You sell your defenders. You ship 68 goals. You're gonna go down. That's period. Over the last few years, all Leicester has done is sell their defenders, and that's where they suffered the most. And because they have the scoring power, I was saying last week, do you think it's the most offensive team in the history of the Premier League to go down, even though they weren't that offensive this year? But they got 51 goals. Sorry, they got 51 goals. Let me just scroll up. Man United got 58 goals and we're third. They got 51 goals and they're 18th.
Cool.
And Leicester
got 49 goals, right?
I'm looking at, from what I see, goals for, right? Scrolling down. They got 51 goals, but they let in 68.
Oh, yeah.
Just let me know if I'm
right. You're right. No, you're right.
And we got 58 goals and we're third. So they had enough goals. They just didn't have enough defense.
Yeah.
And like, let me see. Let's so Man City had more goals than them. Arsenal had more goals than them. Man United had more goals. No, I'm looking at the wrong. Man United had more goals than them.
I mean,
Newcastle
they had like, they're top 10, I think, in goals.
Top 10 in, yeah, that's what it looks like. You top 10 in goals?
Yeah, joint that.
And that's, most people can't find a goal scorer. That's why they're down there. Leeds had a kind of a, Leeds are down. They had a kind of the same problem. You sell your best defensive midfielder and you sell one of your best scorers to Barcelona, and and then the defensive midfielder that replaced your defensive midfielder gets injured. Tyler Twellman towards the end of the season misses a bunch of games, and you go down. I still think they shouldn't have fired Jesse Marsch. I think they should have just be patient. I wonder what was Leeds XG like? It had to be high.
Leeds XG, yeah, not relegation level.
It's not relegation level, right? They just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
So that's pretty bananas. And they had no defense. Their defenders like Struck, Koch, and all those guys, Junior Firpo, all suspect. All suspect. No disrespect to them, but they're not like Premier League level. They invested a lot of money in attack, just not good enough defenders. And then we come to
oh boy.
Sorry, Lee. Southampton. Man, it's gonna be we're gonna hear a lot about the championship next year, y'all. So,
yeah.
if you ever were interested, this is no longer just a Premier League podcast.
The soccer championship rant.
This is a soccer championship rant. We'll be hearing about the Premier League and the championship because Lee's still going to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
And we will be hearing about what it's like down there. And hopefully you can get back up soon. But yeah, Southampton. But you went out with a banger, 4-4 against Liverpool. You went down 2-0. Then you went up 4-2. And then Liverpool came back 4-4. So that's one way to exit the Premier League.
You know the reason why I don't think that was a good last game for them.
Oh yeah, why?
Is because now the whole world knows they have this Kamaldeen Sulemana guy. They should have wrapped him up and kept him behind closed doors and just used him next season in the championship. And now some guy is going to come up. I assure you, some
hilarious
team is going to come in with a cheeky 10 million bid and try and get him off their hands. Because he's too good to be in the championship from what it looks like. He's gonna play for the Ghanaian national team. Pretty sure he's gonna get a call up, and yeah, people are gonna be all over him. And now you have 2 months. You already have to defend James Ward-Prowse. You have to defend Lavia. You have to defend, I don't know, one of the Armstrongs, Theo Walcott, and now you also got to defend Sulemana. Like that. Yeah, that's, you kind of shot yourself in the foot with that.
Yeah, you don't have enough hands to protect all of those.
Yeah,
those players.
And this dude, like he's got the backflip celebration down.
That's why I don't trust him. When you say Jose, you're backflipping so to make sure everybody sees you. You're like, that was me. That was me.
Exactly.
Y'all see me. You're backflipping to make sure that they put not just your goals in the highlights, your backflips. And so anybody in the world needs a forward.
Like, hey, Paul Barber, you see me?
Yeah.
He probably saw that same podcast you guys did the day before. And he's gone black flipping himself on Brighton's shop window.
Yeah, you didn't. All of a sudden, you're a Bamiyang and you're way out of Southampton. Get out of here, bro.
Yeah.
So the Bamiyang is way out of there. But yeah, that's it pretty much. We're gonna do at least one more. We got the Champions League, we got the Europa League, and so we could also, like, in those podcasts, like, give an overall view of the season. But it was, I mean, depending on what team you support, I feel like it was an amazing season. Somebody was trying to say it was like the most amazing season of all time. I don't think it was that. But it was definitely super interesting.
He is definitely, in the season where AI has kind of entered the mainstream consciousness, is definitely the season where Premier League got its first certified robot. He's promised to chat GPT the league,
Yeah, he did. It's hilarious. He is the cheat code. Like, if you this is the first time Xbox meets actual football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With Haaland. How many goals did he eventually end up with?
I think 37.
So he didn't get a goal a game. So he stinks. In every other league he's been in, the Premier League is the toughest.
36. I'm sorry, 36.
So he's like 2 goals short.
Yeah.
Kane got 30, you know that?
Kane had 30. That's just crazy. I think that could be a record. I don't even know how to check on something like that. But what's the lowest a team has finished with one of their players getting 25 goals or more?
Not only did he get 30, I don't know when this happened, but the rest of the team got 40 goals. Because they ended up with 70 goals. Yeah. So somehow Spurs is a very deceptive team, man. Very deceptive team. Because it looked like they couldn't score. But, like, I always knew that their problem is defense. Whoever goes to Spurs, just get a set of defenders. It's not that easy, but that's what you got to do. Get a set of ball-playing center backs and better defenders. Like, what you have there is not good enough. And then if Harry Kane leaves, then you got a whole nother set of problems altogether. But defense is where they need to work on the most. And you also need a midfield. But you got 70 goals. An 8th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I just looked up. Haaland got 29 goals if you take out penalties, and 8 assists in 69 minutes. Drogba in the 2009-2010 season got 30 goals. 29 goals without assists, and without penalties, and 10 assists in about the same number of minutes. and Drogba didn't win Player of the Season that season.
Hilarious. You can't just exclude penalties. You can't.
No, because he never took penalties.
Yeah, but
he never took penalties. I mean, he still got he still got how many goals did he get though? He still got he just took one penalty.
Just took one, but did he score it?
Yeah, he scored it. So,
scored it.
But no, I'm just saying, Haaland looks so crazy, but yeah, maybe there is the crazy thing about Haaland, he did this while in his first season at the league. And you always expect him to kind of struggle. So this is just an appetizer of what's to come.
So how many goals did he get altogether in the Premier League?
36.
36 goals in his adjustment season.
Yeah.
This is his adjustment season. So,
and he got a bunch more in the Champions League too, by the way.
Yeah. Subject acclimated.
Yeah.
Good luck, rest of the league. All right, but
he got like 50 goals overall. Yeah, he's got 52 goals overall. That's just crazy.
Yeah. Season ain't over. There's an FA Cup and Champions League. Yeah, we got to talk about that Champions League when it comes up. So yeah, we'll get into all that. I'm more worried about Inter now than I was before.
Why?
I kind of want, because even though I know they're going to go in a defensive shell, it's the most technically gifted defensive team that I think Man City has faced. Like the game that I saw them play against Inter, they can ball, bro.
Yeah,
they're really good. Like their touches are just on the eye. Like if they have confidence that day, they could spring some counters that could be lethal. So yeah, all that stuff is noted. So Man City better be careful. I don't care if Man City wins the Premier League, wins the Champions League. I kind of want them to, but I want us to beat them. So we'll see. We'll see. Well, yeah, man, it's good to see you back. Your vacation looked fucking lovely.
Back. Yeah,
it's an amazing time.
In the land of sushi and salads. I'm so happy.
I was gonna be like, what a liar! Like when you said how many pounds you. So what was your thing?
So I dropped 18 pounds in about a month and a half, just before the trip and leading up to the trip. And then I gained 10 pounds during the trip.
Whatever, dude. I counted the calories of all those meals you posted, and it says that information of gainage is not accurate, bro.
You think I gained more than 10 pounds? No, definitely.
Yeah. Normally your camera is lower too, so I can see more of you. You're trying to play perspective games. I'm not going for that, Neil.
Oh yeah, I don't know how. Is it the same like back in Jamaica? But I have this thing like with a lot of immigrant communities, they kind of get offended if you're not eating a lot.
Yeah.
So there's no concept of portion control. And like my mom she thinks me eating a whole ton of rice and curry and everything is how to stay healthy. Where I'm trying to tell her about, I probably don't, if I'm eating carbs at lunch, I don't eat them much for dinner. And, try to do intermittent fasting. Like she thinks that's what's going to get me unhealthy. So you need to eat. And you can't go to a relative or if a family friend's invited you for dinner and not absolutely fill yourself up to your tonsils.
You want to see the rice not being able to go down your throat anymore. Like you get some more. It's like trying to pack a packed suitcase, and because that's like the immigrant culture of when you're going to a foreign country, you try to put everything in the suitcase.
Yeah,
you try
yeah,
to bring everything for everybody. So they try to pack your face like it's a suitcase. So even when, like, as soon as the last thing gets in there, and you're like, whew, they're like, nah, you could fit some more. If that got in there, so that's how they treat food. You know,
and it's go ahead.
Is food cleaner than American food there? Like pesticides wise and just all that stuff.
I mean, I guess because there's still the culture of buying produce from, what we call a vegetable seller, as opposed to just going to the store. So you still have these carts, and in every block, essentially, a fruit seller. There's always a fruit seller and a vegetable seller. So maybe they're not part of the the grocery store, convenience store ecosystem. But like my wife's place, I think they're set for the apocalypse, because they have a huge place, and they have like an acre of land, and they're farming every vegetable and fruit you can think of.
Oh, word?
Yeah, and they also have like a pond where there's fishes and stuff. So I was telling you, like,
oh shit,
if things get crazy and the water levels start rising in Southern California, that's where I'm moving.
Damn, that sounds fucking fantastic, bro.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
Yeah, but like my family, we live in a city. Like, they live in like a small town. We live in a city, and it's crowded. There's a lot of pollution. So yeah, I can't vouch for the quality of produce being any better.
Right. And you were you had videos of you going around that city and how developed it's gotten since you left.
That was Hyderabad. Yeah. So Hyderabad is where I grew up. Calcutta is where my ancestors are from. And so now my dad is in semi-retirement. So they've now moved back there. But I went to, so all the home shots you saw were from Calcutta, which is in the east of India. But Hyderabad is where I grew up, and all my friends are. So that has like completely changed. It's like they're trying to build a whole downtown around tech, and it's kind of weird because they have, here we used to have being the downtown not really being the residential area, but there they have like the office area, the residential area, and the entertainment area all in the same vicinity. So you kind of don't really have to go anywhere else. And I was really amazed by what they're doing there.
Yeah, they Western style it. I'm like, is he in downtown LA?
Yeah.
Is he downtown San Diego? Like, it was like full on Western.
It looked great. Yeah. And it looked completely different. Like, that's the part of the city which, when I was growing up, nobody really paid attention to, because it was an underdeveloped thing just outside the city. But now the entire tech industry is there, and it looks amazing.
Bro, it didn't look like it was in India.
And this is a running joke in India. This is how we describe a thing or a place that's actually good. You're like, go there. It doesn't even feel like it's India.
So you look
like that's the way we big up one of our. No, but you're talking about skyscrapers, right? And that makes sense, because the West has more skyscrapers, right? But it could even be a place which is 100 square foot of cleanliness, like, with no littering. It could just be something as simple. It could just be something as it's a place that has clean air.
Go there, it's not like India.
Yeah. So, and a lot of these guys, they even like advertise their Airbnbs in that manner, like,
hilarious.
Tuscan style farms and
Tuscan. Tuscan.
It's like there's like Tuscany.
Spanish.
Yeah.
Contemporary, modern.
I was driving through Calcutta, and there's like every intersection, there's this big hoardings of, for the first time in Calcutta, Portuguese themed villas. And then you go to the next, it's
What?
like, for the first time in Calcutta, German style townhomes. And like, that's the pitch. Like, it's nothing like where you are.
Mid-century.
Yeah.
Because isn't there an Indian style of like architecture? Like
Yeah, there's an old Indian style.
That could that like cities could look like and still be considered like cities.
Yeah.
But there was none of that.
But the thing is, like, Indian style has been, it's been such a melting pot since forever.
Mm-hmm.
That in terms of architecture, it's very difficult. And we also went through 200 years of colonization, right? So there's always a colonial hangover of trying to look like all the good buildings that were built to mimic the British style or the French style, because that was aspirational. And it's kind of, that hangover still exists. So to go to actual authentic Indian architecture in terms of residential style building, I think it's pretty difficult to get there.
Well, good. I want European people who used to colonize India to spend their money to go and get the Indian experience and end up in their own country that they just spent all that money to leave, to get away. And be like, fuck, we could have just, it's more Indian at home.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Hilarious. So yeah, everything looked great, man. And it was good to really, like, again, see you with your family, and then I just see, like, you discover what India is like now, through your Instagram, and like the changes it's made, and you comment on it, and like, all right, so I can, just it gives me an idea,
you should
what to expect if I ever go there.
You know what you should do, right? You should do a tour there.
I'd love to. I might.
That's right.
I spoke to Russell, and he still said he owes me a tour. So I don't know when or where it's going to be, but maybe it's in there. Yeah, we'll see what's up.
Absolutely.
We'll see what's up.
Yeah.
Well, all right, y'all. Thank you for joining. It's great talking to you after. Yeah, you've been out, man, but you did join a few times from there. Appreciate that. 5 a.m. in the morning. No joke.
that was my jet lag.
Yeah. Good. See, jet lag ain't all bad, y'all. It ain't all bad. And we're sorry that this episode came out late, but hey, man, at least now you got some fresh soccer perspective. I think we had some good discussions about going down while we went down the table too. So it's a good episode. Thanks for listening, comment, and we'll see you next week. All right, one.
All right.